Welcome back. Kimberley Kitching was just 52 years old. She dedicated her life to serving the public, and she did it with an enormous, infectious smile. She did it with kindness too, and in the fierce arena of political debate, she was classy. She leaves behind her dedicated and loving husband, Andrew. She also leaves behind one of her best mates, Bill Shorten, and he joins me live now. Bill, thanks so much for your time. I can't imagine how you're feeling right now, but how do you remember Kimberley?
Well, first of all, I just want to say my thoughts are with Andrew, her husband. They were as close a couple as you're going to get on the planet. They've been through each other's ups and downs and were just staunch. And to her family and her siblings, and it's just terrible. I remember her first and foremost as a friend. I get that, we had to talk about politics and her political contribution, but she's a warm person, somewhat remarkably. I'd known her for 25 years, her and Andrew, but when Chloe and I got married, it turned out when Chloe moved to Melbourne, she'd been at school with Kimberley, so it was sort of like joining the dots on a whole lot of stuff. So she's a great friend. And listen, I'm not the only person who's lost a friend. It happens tragically to lots of people. But to sit on the side of the road where she had passed with Chloe and a couple of other dear friends of Andrew, and it was horrible. And then having to go home and explain to your kids that this lady they knew had gone. So it's not fair. But she was she was fierce in equal amounts but warm to everyone, fierce in defence of her views. I might say this, it's sort of, I'm thinking about how do I explain it to strangers, which is the sad thing when someone passes. She was like the Iron Lady of Labor. She wouldn't cut the cloth of her views to suit the fashion of the day. She could rub people up the wrong way. She probably paid a price in advancement, but she was her own woman.
She certainly was, and she was one of your fiercest supporters for the best part of 20 years. You're going to feel that.
Yeah, it's not fair when someone goes, is it? And again, I'm conscious that we've got Australians going through shocking floods, and you've got all the people who knew Shane Warne and loved him. But what I regret is that there's a whole lot of people who never get to meet Kimberley, and she was a politician, I think, who could redeem people's faith in the system. A lot of people know that politicians think things. We all think things, but we don't always say what we think, and that really annoys people fundamentally, and I get why. I get why you can't say everything that comes into your head. But Kimberley was someone who managed to actually be pretty true to herself. And she loved the Labor Party. She was living her best life. But it was a stressful, tough job. And I think it takes a toll on people. And I think, I'm not a coroner. I can't tell you why a lovely, great person just pulls over on the side of the road and has a heart attack and dies. But she was honest, and that's fantastic. And it's just the world's a poorer place for her not being here.
I said at the top of the show that she was a fierce fighter for the Labor Party, but she also fought with it sometimes. It goes back to what you said, because she fiercely believed in things. Whether people agreed with her or not, she engaged in the battle of ideas, and she didn't step down. But that is stressful. Was it too stressful?
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder. Bad things happen to good people. It's hard to make sense. It's been less than a day. I know. I'm sure I'm in shock. I'm sure the people around her are in shock. But she put on a brave exterior, but I'm sure, and you carry stress. It's you can't not. And I just wonder if I was speaking to a good friend and I said, well, maybe it would have been better if she hadn't gone into politics. But as this friend reminded me, she loved it. But it is tremendously stressful and, anyway, we're here now talking about her, and I would give anything to turn back the clock to 4:30 yesterday and change things.
Indeed, and so will Andrew. And I remember him today because they were such a partnership. They were a team in this battle of ideas and advocating for what they believed in. But as we remember Kimberley today, we remember her as someone, you are one of her best mates, but she's also very close to Andrew Bolt. You both have different views on politics, and that says something about a person.
Well, Kimberley had an unusual skill. In this sort of polarised age where everyone's got to be a warrior against someone who disagrees with you, she had her own views and they were keenly honed. She was a tremendously intellectually capable woman, but she would come on Sky, she would, talk to Rita Panahay, she would talk to Andrew Bolt. Some of the Conservative commentators, they'll be feeling this loss because I know sometimes it's frustrating. I'm sure sometimes people want to have the other point of view put to them, and we're so used to living in our own echo chambers, aren't we, that we only really want to talk to each other in our own preferred mediums. And she was fearless, but also polite. So I'm sure there'll be people right across the spectrum. I believe the sincerity of Pauline Hanson's comments today, and it does, though, painfully remind me that I wish she was here to hear all the nice things that are being said about her. And why do we leave it till someone's passing to treat someone the way we should have treated them when they're alive? Isn't it one of the bloody awful mysteries of death that all the things that should be said to you, a person, are only said when they're gone? And anyway, I can't make any more sense of it than that.
Look, Bill, I know this is very hard for you today, so I appreciate your time, but she deserved this, and I wish that she could hear all the nice things that are being said about her. And you're right, she did engage in that battle of ideas, and she was very convincing at times. I'm sure she even convinced the other side every now and then. But just before I let you go, maybe there's a lesson in all of this. We often talk about taking the heat out of the political debate, and sometimes that nastiness can be within your one side of politics. Do you think that can be changed?
That's exactly
or
right.
This is just another time that we talk about it?
I don't know. I mean, Kimberley should still be here. She suffered a catastrophic heart attack. What caused it? I've already seen crazy rumours on the internet. Listen, this shouldn't have happened to her. I've got no doubt that some of the stresses of her work have contributed to it. Now, am I a scientist? No, but I've got no doubt. And she put on a brave face. But within political parties, I know there's the rough and the tumble, but sometimes things go too far. And none of us has got the crystal ball and can predict what happens, but I just think too many people in politics lose sight of what's important. And we've got someone who should have been at my 12-year-old's daughter's 50th birthday in 38 years' time, but she's not going to be. And what a dreadful waste for the nation. And I feel for our family, I feel for Chloe, and I feel, I've lost a great friend, but I also feel for all the people who won't yet get to meet her, all the causes she won't yet be able to speak up for. And having seen who she has helped, I feel the loss of the people who won't be able to get her help in the future. There's no sense in this.
Well said, Bill Shorten. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks, Laura.